Next tonight, the TV talkers and their impact on how the rest of us talk politics. Jeffrey Brown reports.
If it wasn't for Fox or talk radio, we'd be done as a republic.
In a multimedia world of talk and more talk, the latest big talker is Glenn Beck, known for his folksiness and emotion, which sometimes spills over to tears.
I just love my country.
And most of all, for his over-the-top style and words, which for many push the limits of acceptable public rhetoric.
Is that there are Marxist revolutionaries who have dedicated themselves to principles that will destroy our nation as we know it.
I'm saying he has a problem. This guy is, I believe, a racist.
Since moving from CNN headline news to Fox last year, Beck has successfully built up his cable TV audience. He now reaches almost 3 million viewers with his 5 p.m. show, unseating Fox's Sean Hannity for the number 2 spot, right behind the network's Bill O'Reilly. On radio, Beck's audience of 9 million is second only to Rush Limbaugh. All of these talk show hosts far exceed the numbers of their liberal counterparts. And as the numbers grow, so has the attention in other media and Beck's seeming influence on the national agenda. Beck is a persistent critic of the president and his policies. Among much else, he helped rally opponents to show up and speak up at this summer's town hall meetings on health care, and led the way on exposing problems with Acorn, a community organizing group that ran into numerous public controversies. In some ways, says Kathleen Hall Jamieson, who studies public rhetoric at the University of Pennsylvania's Annenberg Public Policy Center and often helps analyze it for us, today's sharp-edged talk does come with advantages.
To the extent that opinion talkers argue from one clear ideological point of view, they increase the likelihood that their listeners understand that ideology, are able to see politics through that ideology, and as a result, that politics is coherent for them. That's important because it increases engagement, and that's a positive effect.
But, Jameson says, it's engagement of a certain kind.
The downside occurs when this type of insulating discourse is used to tag the other side, the opposition, as more different than it actually is from the listener. It polarizes. So the audience becomes locked up in its own little ideological world. The rhetoric becomes more shrill, more strident. It becomes hysterical and hyperbolic. And then one's sense of that as appropriate discourse is something that one begins to feel. One thinks that it's appropriate to ridicule the other side, to demonize the other side. One stops calling it ridicule and demonization. One starts to think that that's how we talk politics.
And of course, there's the rub for many. If what we see and hear in the talk fests is actually how we increasingly talk and do politics. One response from a cable news heavyweight, CNN's Lou Dobbs, what's wrong with that? Dobbs, who's made himself a lightning rod for his off-stated blasts against immigration policy, added a radio program to his portfolio last year and has built an audience of 160 stations.
It's one of the great things about talk radio is that people, whether they're the talk show hosts or whether they're the listeners, the callers, are speaking forthrightly. And I think we need more of that, not less of it in this country. We have right now a body politic constrained by some sort of political correctness that seems to seek to control thought and expression. We need to break away from that. I don't mean to be profane and to be ugly in our speech, but we certainly need to be direct and, yes, even salty.
But Eric Burns of Media Matters, a liberal watchdog group, says the breaking away goes too far.
It's one of the biggest problems that we see with folks like Lou Dobbs, Glenn Beck, other personalities in the conservative movement, is they're regularly peddling conspiracy theories, lies, smear campaigns, and these are provably wrong information that makes its way into the mainstream media, that makes its way into people's homes, into their living rooms, where they're turning on their television sets, expecting to get news, and they're not getting news, they're getting propaganda.